The old Victorian house loomed before me, a monument to decay and forgotten memories. It dared me to enter, to challenge its secrets, to face the darkness within. Locals whispered of its past, tragic deaths, unexplained phenomena, a haunting presence. I am Zach Bargains, paranormal investigator. I've spent my life seeking answers to the unknown. This house, this beast of brick and mortar, promised a truth darker than any I'd encountered before. My crew waited, their faces etched with apprehension. They knew the risks as well as I did. Tonight, we enter the belly of the beast. The air grew heavy as we approached. A cold, damp mist clung to us. The scent of decay filled my nostrils. A shiver ran down my spine. This was more than just an old house. It was a living entity, malevolent, hungry. The front steps groaned under our weight. Each creak echoed through the silence, amplified by our fear. The rusted doorknob felt ice cold in my hand, like the touch of death. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. There was no turning back now. The door creaked open, revealing an abyss of darkness. Our flashlights cut through the gloom, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The air inside was thick with dust and the smell of decay. The silence was deafening, oppressive. It pressed down on me, stealing my breath. We stepped inside, our senses on high alert. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of wind through the broken windows sent shivers down my spine. The house felt alive, aware of our presence, and it did not welcome us. It was hunting us. We moved deeper into the house, each room more unsettling than the last. Moldering furniture draped in cobwebs. Shattered mirrors reflecting distorted images, and everywhere the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following our every move. Then I heard it, a whisper, faint but unmistakable. "Get out!" My blood ran cold. I spun around, flashlight beam darting across the room. But there was nothing there, just the shadows playing tricks on my mind. Or was it? The house was toying with us. Section 5. Ascent into Madness. The grand staircase loomed before us, its once polished wood now rotten and decayed. Each step we took was a descent into madness. The air grew colder, heavier, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Turn back, get out while you still can." But curiosity, that insatiable hunger for the unknown, drove us forward. We reached the top of the stairs, our hearts pounding in our chests. A long, narrow hallway stretched before us, lit by a single flickering light bulb. The air was thick with dread. We were walking into a trap. Section 6. Faces of the Damned. The hallway was lined with portraits, each one more unsettling than the last. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak of the old wooden floorboards beneath our feet. Faces from another time stared back at us, their eyes filled with a haunting sadness. Or was it malice? I couldn't be sure. Each gaze seemed to follow us, as if the souls trapped within the frames were desperate to communicate something we couldn't quite grasp. The flickering light cast their features in a constantly shifting dance of light and shadow, making them seem alive, watching us. The shadows played tricks on our minds, making the faces appear to move, to shift, to change expressions when we weren't looking directly at them. One portrait in particular drew my attention. It was different from the others, more vivid, more real. It seemed to pulse with a life of its own. A young woman, her face pale and drawn, her eyes wide with terror. Her expression was so lifelike, so filled with fear, that it was almost as if she were trapped in that moment of horror for eternity. Her lips were parted, as if she were about to scream. The sheer terror in her eyes was palpable, sending a wave of unease through me, and beneath her image, scrawled in what looked like blood, were the words, "They're coming." The message was chilling, a stark warning that sent a jolt of fear through my heart. A cold shiver ran down my spine. The atmosphere was oppressive, the weight of countless eyes bearing down on us. It felt as though the walls themselves were closing in, the portraits closing ranks to trap us in their haunted gallery. We were not alone in that hallway. The spirits of the damned were all around us, their presence as real and as terrifying as the portraits that bore their likenesses. Section 7. The Pulsating Door. At the end of the hallway, a single door stood ajar. It was an old, wooden door, its paint chipped and weathered by time. The air around it felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if the door itself was a sentinel guarding a dark secret. A faint light emanated from within, casting flickering shadows on the opposite wall. The light was not steady, it flickered and danced, creating eerie patterns that seemed to move with a life of their own. Each shadow seemed to tell a story, a tale of fear and foreboding, but it wasn't the light that made my blood run cold. It was something far more sinister, something that seemed to reach out and grip my very soul. The air was thick with an unspoken dread, a palpable sense of impending doom. It was the door itself. It seemed to be alive, pulsating with an unseen energy that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. The wood seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting as if it had a heartbeat of its own. It seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy. This energy was not just a visual phenomenon. It was something I could feel deep within my bones. It was as if the door was a living entity, aware of my presence, and it did not welcome me. A malevolent force that sent waves of dread washing over me. Each wave was stronger than the last, crashing over me and leaving me gasping for breath. It was a force that seemed to feed on my fear, growing stronger with each passing moment. I knew with a certainty that chilled me to the bone that this was no ordinary door. It was a gateway, a portal to something far more sinister than I could ever imagine. The realization hit me like a cold, hard slap, leaving me paralyzed with fear. That whatever lay beyond that door was the source of the evil that permeated this house. The whispers that echoed through the halls, the shadows that seemed to move on their own, the feeling of being watched. It all led back to this one door. The whispers, the shadows. They were not just figments of my imagination. They were real, tangible manifestations of the malevolent force that lay beyond that door. Each whisper was a warning, each shadow a harbinger of the darkness that awaited. The feeling of being watched, it was an ever-present sensation, a constant reminder that I was not alone. Eyes seemed to peer at me from every corner, watching my every move, waiting for the moment I would dare to open that door. It all stemmed from that one room. The room was the epicenter of the evil, the heart of the darkness that had taken hold of this house. It was a place where nightmares were born, where the very fabric of reality seemed to unravel. We had found the heart of the darkness. It was a discovery that filled me with both dread and a strange sense of purpose. I knew that whatever lay beyond that door had to be confronted, but the thought of facing it was almost too much to bear. Yet there was no turning back. The pulsating door awaited, and with it the answers to the mysteries that had plagued us. Section 8. A sea of black. I reached for the doorknob, my hand trembling. It was ice cold to the touch, and I could feel a faint vibration running through it. As if whatever lay beyond was eager for us to enter, I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The room was cloaked in an impenetrable darkness. Our flashlights seemed to be swallowed by the shadows, their beams unable to penetrate the oppressive gloom. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. It felt like stepping into the belly of a beast. Section 9. A Grotesque Welcome. Then a voice, raspy and filled with malice, sliced through the darkness. "Welcome," it hissed. "I've been expecting you." A single point of light appeared in the center of the room, growing brighter, revealing the grotesque figure standing before us. Its skin was stretched taut over a skeletal frame, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. Its teeth were filed to sharp points, and a long black tongue snaked out from between them. It wore a long, flowing robe that seemed to be made of shadows themselves, and it was smiling. Section 10. The Nightmare Gallery. The figure gestured towards the darkness surrounding us. "Welcome," it rasped, "to the Nightmare Gallery, a collection of souls consumed by their deepest fears, trapped here for eternity." As it spoke, the darkness began to recede, revealing glimpses of unspeakable horrors, faces contorted in eternal screams, bodies twisted into unnatural positions, and everywhere the sound of weeping and gnashing teeth. The air itself seemed to crackle with malevolent energy. This was a place where hope died, where nightmares became reality, and we were trapped within it. Section 11. Unseen Horrors. In the dead of night, we ventured into the heart of the abandoned building, a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place where nightmares were said to come alive. The figure let out a low chuckle that echoed through the chamber of horrors. Its presence was palpable, a chilling reminder of the malevolent forces that lurked in the shadows. "Stay as long as you like," it hissed. The words slithered through the air, wrapping around us like a cold, suffocating fog. The sinister-looking doll and the creepy mask seemed to watch us, their eyes following our every move. There's plenty of room for more in the nightmare gallery. The walls were adorned with grotesque art, each piece more disturbing than the last, telling tales of torment and despair. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished back into the darkness, leaving us alone with the unseen horrors that surrounded us. The swirling mist seemed to close in, and the shadows grew longer, more menacing. We stumbled back, our minds reeling from the horrors we had witnessed. The faces of my companions were etched with fear, their eyes wide with terror. The door slammed shut behind us, plunging us into darkness once more. The sound echoed through the hallway, a final ominous note in the symphony of fear. We were trapped, alone, surrounded by the damned. The ghostly figures seemed to close in, their hollow eyes staring into our souls, their whispers filling the air with dread. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more terrifying explorations into the unknown. Join us as we continue to uncover the mysteries and horrors that lie hidden in the darkest corners of the world. Your support helps us delve deeper into these spine-chilling adventures, bringing you closer to the unknown.